I am sorry I'm late. Technical difficulties as per usual. When did I get so old? Um, Give me just a second. Unexpected sobriety. How are you today? Happy afternoon. Happy Friday. There we go. So, for some reason, I am not able to see the live comments on our Facebook page, which is Vibe with Stephanie. So if you want to comment and hang out, come to TikTok. I'm over there too, live at the moment, hopefully, at vibe_with_Stephanie. Hi, Rocket Girl. Let me close this door. And how cute is this romper? Like, this is how we do Christmas in Florida. And then if I had anywhere important to be, I would put on that super cute white jacket and I would look so professional and so cute. I want to talk about some unexpected gifts of sobriety. Yesterday on my podcast, Glow Big Sober, I did 8 unexpected gifts from sobriety. And there's one big one that I left out because I feel like it needs its own time. And that is softness. And I don't know about you, but if you're stuck in the drinking cycle, it's probably because of trauma. It's probably because of hurt and pain. And a lot of times we start off having fun with alcohol, right? It makes us more confident and makes us feel pretty. And then eventually it gets to a point where we're not having fun anymore and we're using it to cope. And between that and the addictive part of alcohol, we become really reliant on it. And I wanted to share a couple of stories that have been so amazing because I just didn't expect that. I knew getting sober was going to help my life. It was going to help my son's life. It was going to help the life of others. I just knew it was something I had to do, but I didn't expect the forgiveness and the softness and the contentment and the peace that came with getting sober. So I just want to make sure that you know that there are many, 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 many reasons to get sober, and they keep popping up all the time. New reasons keep popping up. But one that I noticed is the one with my mom. So my mom passed away when she was 54 from cirrhosis of the liver. I grew up with a very alcoholic mom. My Meemaw took care of me a lot. Meemaw drank too. They both drank, but my mom was just like devastatingly in deep with the alcohol and the men and in and out of AA meetings and dragging me along sometimes and like lying about her drinking. And it was a crappy childhood growing up with an alcoholic mom. So Meemaw would rescue me sometimes, and she drank too, like I said, but never to the point where you were like, oh my God, this woman has a problem. But Meemaw ended up dying too and had dementia from alcohol. She had heart disease from alcohol, and my mom from cirrhosis of the liver. So between having all that trauma growing up with my mom as a drunk, and my grandmother always being my cheerleader, telling me that like, you can do anything you want. You're so amazing. You can be president of the United States. You're going to be independently wealthy. Like, she told me this constantly, poured good things into my head. So, but most of it was about how I'm going to do this all by myself. So between trauma and the walls that I put up and her telling me that I could do everything alone, I built up quite the wall. And I know a lot of us have, just for whatever our own reasons are. Hopefully I don't have lipstick on my teeth. So when my mom died, actually long before she died, I mean, I just had so much hurt and anger and unforgiveness, and it just built this wall more and more. And I just like barely had any friends. I was not open to real friendships. I rarely still ever cry. Rarely. I mean, never. And I just have got this big wall up. And so I was always angry at my mom up until like a couple of months ago, when I've got her ashes here. And a couple of months ago, I was in my office and I had this thought about her, and I just kind of looked up at her with this softness, and everything kind of softened. My eyes softened, the corners of my mouth, my neck. And I realized that I had like forgiven her. And after 42 years of hurt and anger and carrying all this around with me, I was suddenly soft about the thought of her. And it's not like this is one of those things where the pain just went away because time. No. If I had kept drinking, this pain would not have gone away. I would never have softened up. And so I just want to say that, I mean, I've got a lot more to say, but if you're walking around and you're feeling hurt and damaged and hardened and beat up, one for sure way to get rid of that is to quit drinking. It's like a fact. You're still going to have to do work on yourself. You're still going to have to do some things. But I have to say, I have not done anything like intentional to forgive my mom, because it's the only way that we're going to get peace for ourselves, which we know that. Everybody told us that forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work like that, right? Do I think what was because she died? Oh, no, she died a long time ago, like when I was 21. So I've been just hanging out being angry with her forever. I mean, it's not because she died and then I forgave her. No, she's been gone 20 something years. And I just walked around with all that pain and hurt and was so mad at her for being an alcoholic. And then here I was being an alcoholic mom to my little boy who is 6, but on his 5th birthday, I got wasted because that's what I always did for birthday parties. I made sure we had coolers and everybody had drinks, and I was drinking White Claw. And then after that, we came back to my house and drank more wine. And I woke up, I had blacked out and I had a black eye. I think I fell on a brick or something outside looking like a sloppy drunk in front of my 5-year-old's birthday party friends. And just woke up the next morning and I was like, I cannot do this. I'm turning into her. I've turned into her. And so just like then I got sober. And then because of that, I'm now not holding a grudge against anybody. It's weird how, I mean, there's a million different gifts from sobriety, but mental clarity, your mental health is the fog lifts over, like you're have more discernment. You can see things you never saw before. And I just love that. It was just a really nice benefit that I can promise you that if you're holding on to some hurt and even depression and you just feel weighed down, try to just quit drinking. I have so many tools that are free. I have some that are paid. I have some that are free. We have a Breakup with Booze coming up. It is a transformative 4-day free challenge. If you want to sign up for that and get in my support group, which is free, and so supportive. Genuinely the most supportive women I've ever met. So that support group is on Facebook. It's Vibe with Stephanie Facebook page. And Sober Vibes with Stephanie is the group. And then Breakup with Booze is on my website. So you can check in there. It's all free. So I would love for you to check that out. You don't have to do this alone. And the surprising thing is so many women think that they have to go to AA. They think that they have to call themselves an alcoholic. They think that they have to do, because that's what I thought. My mom went to AA. She deemed herself an alcoholic. She started reading the big book, quoting the big book. I was like a little girl being drugged in and out of there. And she just, with this deep, gruffy voice, just like all the AA, not all, but a lot of the AA people sound. She sounds just like them with their quotes and all the bullshit they say, which is why I didn't decide to go to AA. But I forgot where I was going. I forgot where I was going with that. Totally lost my train of thought. Amazon's here. Squirrel. I ordered some seeds, some like cucumber seeds, because I want to make this green juice this girl made on TikTok. That's amazing. Congratulations on 1 year sober. I am like a year and a month sober. One thing I wanted to say too is I'll tell a quick little story that I had nothing to do with Jesus. I had one time, one lady said, she texted me. She said, and I read it as Jesus. And I was like, who's Jesus? I thought she was going to hook me up with some dude. She's like, Jesus, you need Jesus. And I was like, oh my God. Like, okay. So I went on to party and be an asshole for many, many years after that. Decline. And so eventually, a year before I quit drinking, I went on this work trip. And a girl was in the corner of this amazing cabin in Tennessee and she was getting saved. And I was like, what is happening over there? And she's like, oh, there's some Christian women here and she wants to get saved. And I had gotten wasted and passed out the night before, still had red wine on my mouth, and made a fool of myself on this retreat. And I was like, oh, I could use some Jesus in my life. And I was like, always very self-depreciating. And that's one thing that I lost with sobriety, that I just freaking am so happy. I thought that was who I was just a hater of myself. But I'm not. I actually love myself. I don't want to walk out in front of trucks anymore. I don't think about horrible things anymore. It freaking goes away. So anyway, so I was at this trip. I was like, oh, I could use some Jesus in my life. And they like kind of scooted me over there and did this little thing and asked me if I would accept Jesus. And I was like, yes, I mean, I will, I guess, whatever. And people were crying. I was not crying because I didn't know. Plus I was numb. I was drunk from the night before. So anyway, a year later, well, a friend sent me this book, the girl who introduced me to Christ. She sent me this book. It's a devotional, Jesus Calling. And I started reading it in the mornings, just no big deal, just waking up and reading it with my coffee. And then a year later is when I had the blackout. And right after I blacked out, that, like I was done drinking. So I am never going to push Jesus as part of the way I teach sobriety. But I think it helps. Like, I don't think I could have done this by myself. I don't think that I would have been able to even talk to other women about this journey. And so I never really preach Jesus or God because I don't know enough about it. But I do credit him because I don't think I had it in me to do this myself. I couldn't, I've tried to quit drinking before. Many times. And I've begged, like, please take this away from me. I don't want to be a drunk anymore. I don't want to be this mom to my little boy. But then I'd still go, get a big old Mega Merlot and drink anyway. So nothing seemed to work. But I did want to read this one part, if you don't mind, that really stuck with me from this devotional. If you're into that, and hopefully it doesn't turn you off. If not, I mean, I hate that I kind of even have to be like, oh, I hope. But I just thought this was really cool because if you're afraid of being soft, if you're afraid of being vulnerable, you don't need to be. You can literally give it to someone else. You can literally give it to God. And I know that's one of the sayings of AA is give it to God. But that is not why I say that. I say it because I mean it. And when I opened this November 2nd, I guess 2 days ago, here's what I read. Grow strong in the light of my presence. Your weakness does not repel me. On the contrary, it attracts my power, which is always available to flow into a yielded heart. I love that because I did not have a yielded heart. I don't know about you, but I did not have a yielded heart. And now I do, and I can just see the light coming in. Right? So we have to yield a little bit. And it says, do not condemn yourself for your constant need of help. Instead, come to me with your gaping neediness and let the light of my love fill you. A yielded heart does not whine or rebel when the going gets rough. It musters the courage to thank me even during hard times. Yielding yourself to my will is ultimately an act of trust. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isn't that so good? Like when you think about being vulnerable, it makes you scared because likely you've been doing hard things your whole life, just pushing through, I got to do it, and that's been me. Only child, terrible upbringing, a lot of death. My two best friends, alcohol related, one of them and the other from drinking, and my mom and my meemaw, and then most recently my uncle. So been through a lot of death. And instead of feeling like you have to carry it all on your own, you have us, you have a support group, you have me, and you also have Jesus or God, whichever. But this Jesus Calling is so good. It's like, I feel like it's an author who just takes things from the Bible and puts them in a way that we can understand. And I feel like it like warms my heart every time I read one. Didn't used to do that. I'd be like, who cares? But now I really feel like I'm being spoken to, which is a blessing, which would not have happened if my heart wasn't open and yielded from quitting drinking. I honestly feel like it just cracked open a little bit, in a good way. I still don't really cry, but that's the Prozac probably. Speaking of Prozac, let me lighten things up a moment. I started taking Prozac 49 days. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Congratulations. Also, don't forget to break up with booze. It's Monday, the 7th at 8:30 p.m. It's free, and it's the last time it's going to be free. So jump on it because I'll do another one like in March, but it's not going to be free. I got to start like making some kind of income. So, and it's transformational. I did one in October. I was crying. They were crying. We were all crying. It was very moving and very powerful. And you got to do it. It's 4 days. It's like 45 minutes to an hour each night. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday, we do a bonus question and answer day, morning, whatever. And it's fun. You get a free workbook to work on your mindset. We do all kinds of life-changing things. So join us there. Go to vibewithstephanie.com/breakup. And I guess that's it. Oh, check out the podcast, Glow Big Sober. It's really good. And then I'll tell you about my Prozac story. So I went to the doctor and was like, actually went to the gyno, and I was like, I'm like really mean around my period. Turns out PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. He's like, I have something for that. You can it's super easy. It'll take away anxiety and depression. I'm like, hell yes, give it to me. So he writes this prescription, and I bring it home, and I'm like, what? So I Google it. What is this? And it was Prozac. And I was like, okay. And then I looked it up, and that's being prescribed for people with PMDD, and it makes you not want to murder everyone like during your period. And so I took it and started feeling euphoric immediately. I was like, should I be feeling euphoric? And they're like, yeah, you're fine if you do. And I was like, great. Then I started worrying about being reliant on the man, on anything. When shit hits the fan, what if I can't get it? Let me just take myself off of it. So 3 months later, feeling euphoric and amazing, decided to take myself right off Prozac without weaning down, without anything. I'm like, I don't even need this. Didn't work out so well. Like I was in a slump, and it took me, I was only off of it for like 2.5 or 3 days. And it put me in like 11-day slump, 11 days of like miserableness. So never again. So that's another thing. I waited to get on the Prozac 10 months sober. So not to try to diagnose anybody, but I know that a large part of my mental health or lack thereof was from alcohol. It's a depressant. It makes you feel good at first. We're chasing some high that we are not going to get. We haven't had that high in 1,000 years since we first started drinking. And you're just chasing this thing. And it brings you down, and you're having all these thoughts that you would never otherwise have. And so if you're going to try to get on like an antidepressant or something, do it, but try to see what you're like at your base level. Just find your base level. And I was still finding I was really angry around my period. So I was like, I don't want to be snappy and angry. And already my little boy, like week 2, he was like, you're just not so mean anymore. I'm like, thank you, Prozac. So I'm not out here trying to promote that stuff, but I do want to make sure that you know that there's no shame in fixing your drinking, and there's no shame in fixing, depression if you have it, and rage. All right. I guess that's it. I talked for 30 minutes straight. Did I even take a breath? Do you guys have any questions or comments? I can't see comments on Facebook, unfortunately. So annoying. I don't know what they want from my life to be able to see comments. Check out Glow Big. I would appreciate it so much. It's such a good podcast. I really, really enjoy doing it. It's full of fun stuff and tips and what to do and that you're normal. I also have a holiday guide that I wrote up that I wish I had had my first holiday. This will be my second Christmas sober, but I wrote it. So it's vibewithstephanie.com/holiday. And it's a holiday guide for how to get through, what to do, how to leave early, how to plan ahead so you don't end up drinking and making a fool of yourself like I've done it so many Christmases and holidays. Every holiday was a drinking event. God, one day you'll look back and laugh at all of your mistakes. Don't beat yourself up. Just You can change it. And it gets better. It gets easier. First 30 days is pretty brutal. But after that, you're good. So if you haven't checked out Sober Vibes with Stephanie on Facebook, check that out. It's an amazing support group for women. And we actually have a Zoom meeting tonight, which is always awesome, talking about our wins and, whatever else we went throughout the week. And it's awesome because it's on a Friday night. And I know that's a trigger for a lot of people. So if you're in the group, you can join us for free. How is sobriety? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't know any other way to be. Though, when I was drinking and we were talking about vulnerability and what's that word he said in here? Yielded. That freaking stuck out to me so much because there was a time when I was still a heavy drinker, but something was lacking. I didn't know what. I had no relationships with people. I was very hardened. And I thought, well, maybe if I quit smoking cigarettes, I will be changed. I won't be so ashamed of myself. So I quit smoking 1 month before I quit drinking, and it didn't help. I still felt like the scum of the earth inside. I felt dirty and just a wreck inside. But I do remember I had a business, a skincare. I was doing skincare. And so I had to act like I was this somebody. And I felt like I could never really be myself and be authentic, because who would have liked me if they knew what I knew, which is the heaviness in which I drank and smoked, then they would not like me. So I always felt like I had to be somebody else. And so I do feel like being open and being sober has allowed me to be more real, which is awesome. Like, I didn't wash my hair. Like, I'm like, what can I do? I did do this, but, so I appreciate that. No, I don't know that anyone would have ever said that before to me about vulnerability, because I was not vulnerable. I was too ashamed to be vulnerable. I had a lot to be ashamed about. My actions were insane. My values were not aligning anymore. And we talk a lot about core values and how to get them aligned. Thank you. Thank you. My core values were shot. Like, I had to reinvent them. I had to come up with who I wanted to be now, because I'm not that person anymore. And, sometimes maybe you've even been drinking so long that you don't even have any core values to begin with. You might think you haven't been drinking that long, but if you think about it, it's probably been a long time. A long time. So somehow our values go out the window without us even knowing. Like, one of them, a big one, we'll talk about it in Break Up with Booze. I really hope you come and join that. vibewithstephanie.com/breakup. Starts Monday. You just got to sign up. It's free. Is one of the core values that we dive into was cleanliness. More women than you can imagine were like, I've kind of lost my cleanliness. And I can say the same for me. What the actual F? I was barely brushing my teeth. I was barely flossing. If I had extra time, I was drinking or passed out. And taking showers. I mean, I would do it, but not a lot. And so cleanliness is a value, a core value that might have slipped away. Trustworthiness. I have a friend who I freaking adore, but when she's drinking, she's a liar. So she is out of alignment, and she loathes that about herself. And so it's just tearing her down constantly. So as soon as we can let go of alcohol, not as soon, it takes some work. Your house. I have a good story about that, Rocket Girl. Not a good one. It's kind of sad. When I was growing up with my mom, alcoholic mom, my dad came to pick me up when I was 13, and because she tried to herself, mental health. And he finally came and rescued me from this situation when I was 13 years old. Showed up at my door, knocking on the door at like midnight, some late time. I was like, who are you? It was my dad. I had to go live with him. Later on, like months later or whatever, him and my stepmom were saying that the house that I lived in was filth. There was shit all over the floors, hidden wine bottles everywhere, filthy. And of course, I did not know that. I was a teenager, 13, with a mom who was just a hot mess over there. And the house was a disaster. And I didn't, my perspective, I was living in it, so you don't really know. But when I did get sober, my house was a mess. My everything, I was like, oh my God, like you just kind of, this fog lifts and you're really ashamed of yourself. So I also feel really sad when I see drunk people on the streets or homeless people on the streets, because it's not like they're doing that for fun. It's not, and it's, it's not like they chose that life, but it slowly happens. It happens in a way that you one day wake up and are not showering like you should be. Or one day you wake up and your house has just gotten away from you and your kid has grown and resents you. And it happens quickly. So we got to give ourselves grace, but not so much that we're like, oh, we can keep drinking. We have to stop drinking. So it's literally killing us. And they sell it on the commercials like, oh my gosh. If you saw my post on Twitter, which I just started a Twitter for this exact reason, Clos de Bois wine started this new campaign for old people, like older people. And they're all just like drinking and roller skating and drinking. And I'm like, I can't believe this. They're going to target them. They've targeted moms, teens, our daughters, men, people that play sports with a Michelob Ultra or whatever. And now they're getting the older people who alcohol causes dementia, like flat out it does, and 6 other kinds of cancers. So I know, we're stuck because we didn't know all this. We started for fun, then then it used it as a crutch, and then now here we are. Soon we'll be homeless and drinking out of a paper bag. That's how I felt. As long as you can get back up and pick yourself up again. That is one thing I want to stress really quick, and then I will let you go. The reason I have not relapsed, I had a very hard time quitting initially. I tried to quit. I said I would quit, but I never did. Said I'd quit, never did. But the reason I haven't gone back is because I saw what happens when you go from vibrant, amazing woman like my mother to dead at 54. The process of alcohol is not pretty. It didn't kill you and you don't die pretty. Some people are like, oh, if I die young, whatever. No, it ain't. It's not like that. It's a long, painful, horrible, awful death. And she relapsed, and I watched her relapse, and I was so hopeful that she would be sober forever. And when she was sober, she was the best mom ever. Your friend died at 40. That's crazy. That's crazy. I want to let you know that women are dying way quicker than men. We are not meant to be drinking this amount of alcohol at the rate that we're drinking. And I know that we picked up a lot of steam over 2 years, the thing that's been going on. I don't know if I can say that and not get blocked, but it will take you down as a woman. It will take you down. So, and that's the other thing, that they're targeting the older people on Clos de Bois. The older we are when we start drinking, the quicker we get addicted. That sucks. Doesn't that suck? The older we are. So if I waited till I was like, a lot of women that I speak to have children that have moved out and gone to college. They're like, I never even drank. Started drinking when he moved out, and now I'm a full-blown alcoholic. I'm like, yep. The older you are when you start, the quicker. I think the stronger your why. That's true. So you don't have to hit rock bottom, but we do need to discover your why, which we do in Break Up with Booze. I think I got off track and forgot to say something. I forgot where I was. I have all this stuff to say, and then I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. Your friend died at 40. Yeah, it doesn't discriminate. Does not discriminate. There it is. There's that word I didn't want to say. A lot of isolation, a lot of us working from home. Oh my God, you were sober for 25 years. Oh, that sucks. Start back soon. This is what I mean. Oh, about the wagon. Because of what I watched her go through, on and off the wagon, and the last final time, she never came back. Never came back. I can't be doing that. So this is why I don't. And then a lot of the people that I talk to in my group and everywhere else, when they fall off, they don't just pick back up and go, oh man, that was crazy. They stay drinking for a while. And what if I never come back off out of there? And so that is my why right now. Like, it wasn't my son. It was just, I drank heavily for the first 5 years of his life. Makes me sad. All right, good. Make sure you're in my group, Sober Vibes with Stephanie, on Facebook. Make sure you're in Breakup with Booze. You can find it on vibewithstephanie.com. Listen to Glow Big. It's so good and so fun. Leave a review if you like it. And I'm going to go. I got to go to the dollar store. And I feel like I'm always going there. I told my little boy I was going to have all his neighbor friends over for hot cocoa and popcorn and decorating pine cones with birdseed. But it's going to be like 5,000 degrees tomorrow. So I might skip the cocoa and just do lemonade or something. Yay. Thank you. Yes, but I need them to sign up before going straight to Breakup with Booze. Otherwise, I will. Otherwise, they won't get the emails. So they got to go to vibewithstephanie.com/breakup. Thank you. I'm glad you stopped by. For sure, predisposition is a big thing. We're not all going to turn into alcoholics, but I guess you just don't know, do you? I never thought I would, even though I was predisposed, and they told me, don't drink, girl. You're going to... I was like, oh, no, I won't. I'm different. No, you're not. Predisposition, I think trauma. So pick up this book, Jesus Calling, too. It's really nice and heartwarming once you're... What was the word again? Yielded. That's my word for the year. Yes, I love that. All right, y'all. Love you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. I'm here if you need me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.